Opening tins and jars can prove a big challenge for some people, particularly if you've got weak grip. There's a number of products on the market to help with both jars and tins. One of the simplest is this rubberized cone, which can be placed on top of the lid of the jar and then push down with the flat of the hand and turn. The rubber grips the lid of the jar and makes it easier for it to come off. If you still find it difficult with the use of something like this, you may consider something like the One Touch jar opener. This is a battery operated product, 2 AA batteries, which you place on the top of the jam jar like that. You press and hold the button for the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. And then it will go ahead and it will open the jar for you. As you can see, the jaws which were gripping the lid have moved outwards, then the jaws which are gripping the jar move outwards, and you can then just lift it off and put it to one side, and then the jar is that. A really useful tip to enable you to use a saucepan to cook your vegetables if you have poor grip is to consider buying a cheap chip basket. What you would do is prepare the vegetables, put them in the chip basket, place your saucepan on the hob. You may then use a plastic jug to put the cold water into the saucepan. You can then put your freshly prepared vegetables into the saucepan in the chip basket. Once the vegetables are cooked, instead of having to lift the heavy pan full of hot water and risk scalding yourself or worse, dropping the pan, you can just simply raise the basket, the water will strain away, and then you can take the vegetables away, leaving the hot pan on the hob to cool down prior to them being taken away. For some people, working in the kitchen, preparing vegetables may be particularly hard for a number of reasons. They may have weak grip, painful joints, perhaps because of arthritis, multiple sclerosis, or they may have only the use of one side of the body, perhaps following a stroke. I'd like to show you a few things that might perhaps help with some of these difficulties. The first trick is to try and have a large handled potato peeler or a large handled chopping knife. That is going to increase the strength of your grip. So we have here an example of that. If you can't hold the vegetable, then it might be useful to place it on a spike board. So if we imagine that I only have the use of one hand, perhaps because of a stroke, I can place the vegetable I wish to peel on the spike board. Then, using the large handled potato peeler, I can then peel the vegetable. If I now want to chop the vegetable, it may be useful to use a knife which is integrated into a board. It means that I can use both hands on the knife for strength, or it means that if I have slight tremor, then I can hold the knife and be less likely to cause myself an injury. Another useful feature of this food preparation board is the clamping system here, which is particularly useful if someone has the use of only one hand. If I wanted to open this jar of coffee, I can place it just there. I can then move the clamping system, like so, lock it down, and now the jar should be held nice and stable while I use my hand to take the lid off. Equally, you could put a grater in there, you could put a bowl if you were mixing, anything that you need to, a cucumber if you're going to chop it, a loaf of bread, literally anything that you need to be able to manipulate, but with the use of only one hand. Another bit of equipment which may be useful if someone has got use of only one side of the body and wishes to make themselves a sandwich, is this little bread spreading piece of equipment. As you can see, it just slots over the side of the surface and it has two small uprights. The piece of bread is placed on the top of the spreader, and then using a knife with soft butter, ideally, you spread away from you so that the bread is held in place by the little uprights.